Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. On this, what is today? The fourth day. Yeah, December 4th. Jay-Z's birthday. He had a song called December 4th, Mad New Yorker. I got a great show with you for tonight. Going to talk about the two big conference championship games in college football. Indiana, Ohio State. I talked a little bit about that yesterday. Also, Alabama, Georgia again. Narrow favorite that Alabama is, or Georgia, excuse me, in that game. And of course, we'll go over the five biggest games in the NFL. Going to get the Mad New Yorkers' take on the Giants. They got really beat up last Monday. Should they simply just sit Jackson Dart there for the rest of the season? And get his take. Lane Kiffin is now with LSU. He walked out on the Ole Miss Rebels. So stand by. We'll take our first and only break. We'll be back here momentarily. We'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty, everybody. Sorry, I had to fix my screen a little bit there. We'll bring in the Mad New Yorker. Hey, Carlos, how you doing, man? Oh, you're on mute. You got to unmute your mic.
Good evening, everyone. Robert, thank you for having me, man. Happy Thursday.
Yeah, good deal. You know, I mentioned the college stuff on the intro there. My friend Rich from Big Ten and Rich asked if his guys could come on the show with a panel. I said maybe next Wednesday, but we haven't confirmed that. But we could come on possibly the next Wednesday after that. And that would be the Saturdays when the playoff starts, which is December 20th. But, I'll keep you updated and keep the audience updated as well. So I think it'll be three guys there and us two. And don't really do panels, but I think this will be fun. We'll all kind of pick the playoff, and I'll do cuts for everybody's take. And if you said in text you would be down with that, okay, cool. Be ready, man, because it's a little competitive. You know, I want our guys, me and you, to be good, and we got to beat these. I used to go to high school with these guys. I used to play fantasy football with them, but I just, I got too busy to do the daily fantasy. Since you're here and you sent me a boatload of text messages, really ticked off about the Giants on Monday night. Really got hammered. We'll say this in the Giants' defense. They hadn't had their bye week yet. It was a road game. The game prior to that, they did come off an overtime game against the Lions. I don't think they're that bad per se, but I am a little concerned about Abdul Carter. He got benched again. Seemed like he's got some maturity issues, maybe work ethic issues. What's your thoughts about that and Jackson Dart taking all these hits like this?
Oh, man. So where do I begin?
You always say that for the Giants.
Let me see. Okay, so first of all, you're the number one pick for the New York Football Giants,
right? And
there's pictures of you now on the internet, on the social media, that you're sleeping during these meetings.
Oh, Abdul Carter.
Yeah,
Well, that's really disappointing. As good as he looks on film,
And my take was always that it's not that I didn't like the kid. I just thought that the Giants could have used that pick and built up some more depth. I mean,
do you think they even got any offers for the pick? I mean, you gotta use the pick if you got it, right? They had the number
Listen,
3 pick overall. They took
I mean, I'm
Carter.
sure there was a few people that were drooling to move up in the past draft for the QBs that were on the lot there. Aside from Shedeur Sanders falling in that draft, but I mean, still, like, all I know is this: is that you have to make up for what your season was and has been from now until next season. I mean, you, like, the Giants were talking that this guy was going to be Rookie of the Year, that he was, wanting Lawrence Taylor's number, this and yada yada, like all this stuff that happens in New York with when you get picked and you're in a New York situation. You know, just like,
What do you do now with Carter, though? What do you do?
you just play him and you just hope that he matures and gets better. A couple games left this season and a few games left this season, and let's see what if he can motivate himself. Look, you're only as good as the people who are around you, and like this whole defense has been just sad, man. Like,
does he last? Does the owner say, you know what, maybe I made a mistake, I probably should have fired this general manager too? Does he get fired at the end of this? He's only got 1 year left on his contract.
Yeah, I wouldn't bring Sean back.
Okay. But do you think the owner is going to make that call, or do you think I probably ride him out another year?
Look, I think the worst thing about the Giants right now is the situation. The owner, he mentioned that he has cancer. He's trying to recuperate.
He's got cancer.
Yeah, I feel like all this that's going on. I'm not sure that they might even put their part to on the market to sell. Like,
oh wow,
like, there's been speculation about that. A few people mentioned that that's a possibility that can happen. So it just all depends. First of all and foremost, how the Mara family feels about John Mara being able to be an owner at full capacity. Second, replacing Sean and finding a GM that has a little bit more experience to be able to start a coaching, or a coaching search. I would go that route before just being like, okay, Sean's still the GM, let's go find a coach. Because if anybody who's a coach or anybody who's wanting to be part of this New York Football Giants, they're going to want to make sure that the next few years there's some stability. And if I get word from the owner that Sean is starting this search, if I'm a coach out there, I'm not interested, because I don't know if that GM is going to be here next year. So I would want to hear from the owner and the Mara family and the Tisch family that they're not going to sell the team. They're going to go forward for the next 3 or 4 years, and they're committed. And from there, that's how I would start, because it's been so bad. It's been really like a terrible last few seasons for the Giants. And if the ownership can't commit, what makes you think that the coaches and a new coach and new general manager will be able to commit? And that's where I stand with that whole situation. It starts at the top, and you have to, from the top, say we're going to stay, we're going to become winners again, and we're going to do this the way it should be done. And then now a new GM and start the coach search. You don't got to search for coaches, man. I told you this. I was like, and I mentioned this, if you're going to just hire a bunch of coaches that have been there before and put them on the staff and make sure that none of them are young enough and ambitious to leave. You need a coaching staff that'll stay 5 to 6 years, period.
Yeah.
I would hire all those guys.
And that's one thing that I think that's really helped the Chiefs over these last few years is I don't think that people view Steve Spagnuolo as a head coach and material. He's a great coordinator. He can only work with what he's got, but he's a very good coordinator. I do believe that. And plus, these young, we talked about this the other day, but these super young coaches want their super young coach friends, and you could see the flaws on the team when you do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could be too loyal. You could be too loyal to your staff too. I don't like that in some coaches,
Yeah,
You could see that with Detroit. Detroit should have went outside and got another offensive coordinator to replace Benji, and they didn't, and now they're hurting. By the way, I like the Cowboys tonight. Do you like Detroit or Dallas?
I think that Dallas is going to stun everybody, and Detroit is just slowly slipping away from the playoffs contention.
Same here.
Yeah,
Although I do, Amon St. Brown will play tonight, folks. I know I kind of grazed over that headline there, but I hate Thursday night games. It annoys the crap out of me. But anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's right. I feel like, and I'm writing an article about this. I'm going to send to you so you can post it.
Yeah.
Everybody here in New York is talking about all these people that have an opportunity to be a coach. And you know what I say? Because the Giants got money, New York has money. Hire all of them. Make these guys, make Gruden a quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, assistant offensive coordinator. Make McCarthy the offensive coordinator. Make if this guy's going to quit in Pittsburgh, Tomlin, make him a defensive coordinator. If get Antonio Pierce, make him assistant defensive coordinator, linebackers coach. Get all these guys.
Oh, have people been talking about maybe Pierce being the head coach?
Yeah,
I heard a little something about that myself.
Yeah,
I thought that was crazy.
Even if this small guy over here, if McDaniel, this guy in the Dolphins coach, if he gets fired, pick him up as a quarterbacks coach and just
he's
get him
probably
on.
not a bad OC. He's probably not head coach, although they've been winning lately. But
you don't need a head coach and spend all your money on one guy and hope that he brings in all these people that ain't gonna do nothing and gonna quit next year anyway. Look, we already have examples of this failing. We have examples of these failing. All these things are failures. Look what LaFleur might be one of the most winningest coaches in the NFL for the last 5 years, but he can't get over the hump, can't get to the Super Bowl, right?
I do like the fact that they went out to college. You know, they hired a head coach in college. Got turned down like head coaching job in college, or I think he left the head coach, whatever. It was a Hafley, and he took over the coordinator's position at Green Bay, and it's really worked out for them. Their defense is pretty solid, man.
Yeah, they're still a little bit passive in that end, and again,
they're not perfect, but they're a lot better than they had under the other coordinator.
Yeah. But so I say bring them all in, and if Pepper Johnson, like all these guys who are
Pepper Johnson from the 80s, yeah.
If all these guys are talking, Michael Strahan, all these consultants, hell, I don't let them talk, let them give ideas, but at the end of the day, bring them all in. You got the money. The Giants have the money. This is the only place in the world where you can't not have experience. You can't have like people. You got to be able to have some tough skin. All those guys been through the ringer. All those guys, I feel like they all can bring something in. I don't think there's one guy there that can stand alone and bring New York to a destined Super Bowl. But if you bring all of those guys in, you might have something, and they all have some kind of playoff or championship.
It wouldn't hurt the Giants, even if they, I think they probably should look at for another general manager. Take your time and interview as many people as you possibly can. Just don't go by the Rooney Rule and hire like the next guy you interview. Take your time. And
the Giants don't do a good job with the Rooney Rule anyways. They're the first ones that flipped that up.
Yeah, somebody. And I think Flores will do it. But Flores would be the candidate. He would be one of the top candidates. I told you I think would be a good fit, him and McCown, because I think he would be able to work with a guy like Abdul Carter. For one thing, he's going to tell him, you shape up or I'll ship you out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Flores being the head coach and Mike Tomlin coming in as a defensive coordinator. Like, look, the last thing you want is somebody who's the head coach and they leave and you don't have nobody on that staff that can step up and be an actual good head coach. Because that's another thing that's been failing in the NFL. You fire these people.
You ask in the interview process, if you're successful, we expect you to be successful. We wouldn't hire you, and your offensive coordinator leaves. Are you going to do a widespread search to find the next offensive, or you're just going to use quarterback coach guy, 34-year-old quarterback coach has been a quarterback coach for 20 minutes? You going to do that? Or are you going to interview a bunch of guys from outside the organization?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Robert. If you got this super team of coaches, you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about nothing. You don't have to worry about and all of them know each other's playbooks anyways. So all you really doing is just making sure that this young team you have and the way it's getting younger and younger is that they play up to the potential. Like, That's the at the
Yeah,
end,
it's good to have an experienced staff. I don't know if those guys all want to work together because their egos are too big, but
look,
it's still food for thought.
Like if you're gonna have everybody come to your interview, you might as well just hire auto because I'm not gonna pick one of those guys and be like, that's my head coach, because I don't like any of them as head coaches and how they ended their last coaching bid. So that's all I'm saying.
Well, you can always get a guy that nobody's never heard of, So
we had that. They already had that. They did it with the Bill teams of Schoen and Dable.
Yeah, I thought Judge was worse. But anyways, what's your thoughts about Lane Kiffin? He actually takes the job now. Goes to LSU. Let me play this. This is pretty funny, man.
Oh my
I thought the fans took it really well. Listen to Oh, you muted yourself again. Go ahead. I didn't hear you. Okay? What were you gonna say? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just glad that plane actually took off and didn't just run off the runway or blow up.
Oh yeah, and here's what he said about that. Listen to
that
this.
Airport scene and Knox and I driving and people trying to run us off the road, man. And the thing.
They will try a bunch of rednecks down there to run them off the road. Oh God, it ain't that serious. It's college football. It ain't life, man.
No, man, but he just we need to thank God. I mean, I don't know what's up in the mind of someone like him to just do a switcheroo, because that's all he did. This is just a switcheroo. Like the only way that he can win a championship in the SEC is that if he can go ahead and pick up the next 5 top 10 players in the nation.
Yeah.
And if he only got 3 or 4 and then a bunch of 4-stars, it's not going to happen. So,
Joe Klatt with Fox Sports, he said, I think he's run his credibility doing this, because other recruits are going to look, if he'll do this how come he won't do this to me and go to the NFL next year for a big time NFL job? He's got a habit of, I thought he had grown up till the last minute because they kept pushing back the meeting on Sunday, Carlos. I thought he's going to say, I can't do this. I got to stay with these young men. We're 11-1. We got a shot to win a national championship. We're building something special. He didn't do it.
I'm still dumbfounded because I'm like, this is maybe the only time that Ole Miss was actually like as many years as they were competitive. This is the first time that they're actually like have the opportunity of ending the season on a high note and not just being like, not like the years with Eli or even Dart at a bowl game. Like, this is an opportunity. This was an opportunity to be like, boom, Ole Miss is not on the up. It's here. It's here, and it's going to be here to stay. He could have been there 3 more years and gotten all those 5 guys I'm talking about he needs to get. I don't think he did himself any favors.
Will he win a national championship with LSU?
No, he's never going to win anything with the way, because of who he is and how he does things. Yeah. He's not going to win anything. He may win some things, but he ain't going to win it all. Because
I made a prediction. I think they'll fire him in 3 years. This feels like bad karma. It feels like bad karma.
I feel bad for the athletic director at Ole Miss, the players. Look, the players and the fans, man. This guy's skipping out right before you got to go to a championship possibility, and like, I don't know, man. Like, that's just. That just gutted the system. It's really, when he did this to Tennessee, I was like, okay, he should never be back in the SEC.
He's very young, he's stupid.
Yeah, well,
I gave him the benefit of the doubt when he walked.
I never liked the fact that he could think in that way. And what I mean by that is that I'm sorry, and I'm not a judgy person usually. I have some opinions about things that people shouldn't do, but just as selfish and as ambitious as you get, because you're not putting, like, because you're going out to say you're doing this for the kids, for the program, and he went all and flipped the script, and that's not. There's just nothing but bad that can come from that. So
Yeah, that's what I think. Uh, I did a little research, and I mentioned this on yesterday's program. Uh, Before Nick Saban got to LSU, me and you are the same age. What was LSU in the 90s? What were they in the 80s? I went back and looked. Their last national championship before 2003, it was Nick Saban, 1958. Ole Miss won in the 60s. So, yeah, they won 2 championships with Les Miles and Ed Orgeron, but Nick Saban made that he opened that recruiting pipeline. Who's to say? And I said this yesterday. Who's to say that he can't Lane Kiffin change that narrative for Ole Miss and make it like an LSU? Since there is no more Nick Saban, I said, if he won a national championship, maybe 2 in the next 7 years, that he would be compared to a Dabo Swinney, to an Urban Meyer, to a Nick Saban. Now he's just going to be, even if he does win a championship, we're going to put him in the same light of a Les Miles or an Ed Orgeron, if he even does it. But this feels so sour. It just feels so foul that I just don't think he's going to win it. I think they'll get frustrated real quick.
Yeah, and the worst part was that he asked LSU to pay him the same that Ole Miss was paying him.
Yeah.
It's not like he was getting more. They wasn't offering him more. He just switched schools.
Yeah, apparently Ole Miss supposedly matched everything, including the NIL budget. So, Nick Saban said, listen, you can get better recruits at LSU. I understand that. But, yeah, that's true. Possibly. But he was already bringing in players to beat your Georgias of the world. So it's like he was scared to hang in there. Just a few more years. I think they probably would. I talked to the young kids here that are football players, a 3-star kid. My other friend, his kid plays in high school in Clarksville. They both wanted to play for Lane Kiffin. Not after this happened. I haven't talked to him yet.
Right.
I'll probably bring Julian back on, Julian Neerick, 3-star player here out of Nashville area, and see what he thinks about this move. But, at some point, you got to think that's going to come back on you, right?
Yeah, man. Listen, I don't
like
think
Bobby Petrino almost, except he's a little bit more talented.
I'm not sure how kids today in sports think and feel about these kind of things, anyways. So I'm sure that how we feel and our perspective and our views and the way that the fans at Ole Miss feel, I feel like that's just going to be for them, for us, how we see.
Yeah.
Because the kids, man,
that they're worried about their own specific situation.
Right. Well, maybe this is something that they're like, man, good for him. He got what he wanted. And maybe those are 4 or 5-star players that think the same way. Maybe he'll get them because he went out and did what he wanted to do. And that's how some people feel. So, but again, it's just
I may be wrong. He may win 2 or 3 championships with LSU. You never know.
I don't think he will because I feel like the winning, the culture, all that starts from the top, and LSU's been doing it wrong since Saban left.
Been doing some crazy stuff,
Yeah, when they got rid of Orgeron, and I'm like, I understand Orgeron wasn't behaving either, but like the way they got rid of him and all these, I don't know, man. It's just like I feel like LSU should fix house before they invite more people to go and build up that football team. How about that? How does that sound? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say.
LSU clean up house.
They try to get out of not paying Brian Kelly, and now once that made them look bad, then they say, okay, we'll go ahead and formally terminate you and pay the rest of your. Yeah, you signed him. Pay the freaking contract, man.
Yeah, I mean,
all file, dude. So.
And there's another thing here. Is like, where are the regulations from the NCAA on these coaches and players, aside from NAL being an accepted, like type of structure that they're using? I mean, they don't got nothing to say about these contracts and these ADs and what they're doing for the coaching side.
Yeah, I think it's crazy the fact
because
that
these guys are getting jobs. They haven't even got to the bowl game yet. They haven't finished the season. These guys are already looking for another job. Come on, man.
I think that's crazy. I think you should not be able to hire anybody in season like that, and you definitely shouldn't be able to hire somebody from a conference rival like that unless Ole Miss gives you permission, like the NFL.
Right. I mean,
and then you have to trade for them, but that's a totally different situation.
And again, I don't count nobody's money, and that's not my business. But what you want to do is lay down a structure that everybody has to abide by. If the players have to abide by these rules for NIL and when they have openings to be able to transfer portal, why can't you do that for the coaches and the coaching staff? Because that's not fair. If you're talking about being fair, and now you're talking about bringing in income and money and all that into the mix because of NIL, that there should be a structure, and it needs to happen. It has to happen quick because this is a mess. And I say this in the sense where if I'm a player, I'm 20, I got 2 more years of eligibility. I'm about to jump the transfer portal, but the guy I already put my name for, the coach who spoke for me, I was transferring to Ole Miss. Now he's going to be at LSU. Am I going to be allowed to change my transfer eligibility to go back to another school like LSU? Are you going to give me that opportunity? Because that coach that was offering me a contract said that I was going to go to Ole Miss, and now I got to go to LSU.
And now that he has annoyed the AD so bad, and the team and everything, that now they have Charlie Weiss Jr., which is the son of Charlie Weiss, used to go to the Patriots in the Notre Dame. He's going to come in. The offensive coordinator is going to stay, coach the playoff game. Then he's going to leave to go with that Lane Kiffin. I wouldn't be surprised if Ole Miss didn't offer him money to just stay there.
I mean,
and be the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss. I mean, this is crazy. It sounds like something out of some kind of docudrama.
This is the ultimate old man's soap opera right here. This is like
just guys in general. It's like something
this is
you
like
see out in Dallas or the show.
You only hear about these things like at the clubs of the and the golf courses and stuff, but now this is everywhere, man. Social media's put this out everywhere.
Sounds like it would be a good TV show, wouldn't it?
There's a lot of dirty laundry out there. You got to bring out some Jerry. Yeah,
that's so funny, dude. It is ghetto like that. Let's do a quick recap of last week. Man, you should have picked the Bills, and then you would. I'm still up 2, but you picked the tie there. It was 7-7 for a little while. The Steelers couldn't even do that right with all those injuries on the Bills. Steelers couldn't do anything. Now people are talking about Tomlin. You're right. A lot of talk about Tomlin. Ben Roethlisberger said maybe Mike Tomlin should take the Penn State job. He said that this week on his podcast.
Yeah, I heard that.
They need to blow that team up, and Tomlin should either retire or step down, or they should fire him, but they're not.
No, they're not firing
him. That's not going to happen. He's got 2 years left on his contract. What's your thoughts about Bills Steelers? Bills get the win, on the other hand, and they found a running game. It was a sloppy game, but they did get the win.
It was a mess. It was a slot fest, and
it was hard to watch.
It's like you have some of these games, you're hoping you're going to see like a little bit better competition, like a little bit better, and you just get this slot fest. And I mean, it was football, I guess, and the Bills won, and Pittsburgh, like, you got to score points, man, and.
Yeah, Rodgers looked pretty. He was miserable out there, didn't he?
Yeah, no, I don't know if this whole Metcalf situation, man. I'm a fantasy league player, and he's my wide receiver, and I'm just like, what's going on over there? What is he hurt? Is he not hurt? Like,
yeah.
What are you doing with this guy? The same thing with this cornerback that just he got cut.
Yeah, they cut Darius Slay on Monday. The Steelers are just.
I mean.
It's a disaster. I figured it would be a disaster at the end.
There's so much drama going on in the NFL. It should just be, and I'm glad that they got Hard Knocks because it's all over that junk too. Like, so
man,
The
I know
Hard
I'm thinking
Knocks.
about ordering HBO again just to watch the NFC East Hard
Yeah,
Knocks.
yeah. You know what they should do is if I'm Hard Knocks, if I'm HBO, I just film everybody, like, and then piece it together and make a mini series of the season. Because there's so much drama going on in all these teams.
It's
Like
fun to watch if you had that many cameras. It was a good win for Buffalo. Hey, what's about Texans, Indianapolis? We both picked Houston to win that game. Good gutty win there for the Texans. Colts played well, but they just didn't play well enough, you know?
Yeah, and I feel that coming, man. I said Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones, and if you go back to his stats, you'll see in the last 3 years when he's in when they get closer to the playoffs, he starts diminishing and starts fading away. And except for the first time that he went to the playoffs with Dable that 1 year, but he's
year one with Dable.
Yeah, and then he just doesn't. I don't know. He needs to step it up. He needs to change his mind. He needs to get in the game. But I've never trusted that situation. I mean, he's doing well, good for him, but I don't feel like that was going to be consistent. And he needs to get back and tap into what was making him do good things and be better. I mean, he does have a fractured.
What do you think? Yeah, that fibula.
Yeah. Fibula. So maybe he should just, check out and get that fixed. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it was a good win for Houston.
Yeah,
he's
nice.
supposed to be practicing again this week. He's going to tough it out because he wants that big contract to stay with the Colts. That extension there. Colts are still in first place. I've got that listed with the Jacksonville. We'll talk about that a little bit later. It was a great win. Houston's defense played well. Stroud back from the concussion. He looked fresh there. It's his third straight win in Indianapolis. I don't know. Some guys just play better in certain environments, but that's 3 straight for him.
But Robert, if you're going to come back in the game, the best way to come back in the middle of winter is in an indoor stadium. Like you're not wanting to
3 weeks off too.
You don't want to be in the hard, cold rains of Seattle. You don't want to play in Green Bay in the tundra of the frozen. You want to be somewhere nice, and if you're not playing in Florida, California, you might as well play somewhere indoors.
Right. Now, I think everybody was shocked by this, but I just thought with Carolina and the Rams, I just felt like the Rams' defense was a little flat, and Carolina hungry. I tell you what, that team, there's 2 things I saw in Carolina on Sunday. They believe in the head coach, and they believe the players rally around Bryce Young. He's not big as nothing, but he makes plays, and they believe in that head coach, and they just need a few more players around them on the defense, a little bit more depth there, and Carolina can compete with anybody. But I just thought mainly the Rams were a little flat. They've been on a long winning streak. I think they'll regroup this week. What's your thoughts about Carolina upsetting L.A. on Sunday? The best team in the league, as most of us.
I don't remember what I called that game, but I did say it was going to be.
We don't pick the Rams. I don't think you picked Carolina.
But I did say that game was going to be closer than people thought, and that Carolina defense did come through. They're very tough. They're a lot. They're a lot to handle. They play big against bigger teams. So they just, like you said,
young and inconsistent. Can you believe they lost to the Saints earlier this year?
That's another thing. It's so they play to the level of competition, and I think that's one of those things about being young. But like you said, they're about maybe 4 or 5 players short of being a good playoff team, and kudos to them. And the Rams, I just think the Rams are like right now are trying to. We're riding a high, and they did not play it better. They're just like, well, we were winning and we have a winning record, and they're not keeping on and being consistent with how they were playing before. But I think this team gave them a run for the money, but I hope, and I can see the Rams coming back and playing better next week if they can.
Yeah, I think they'll bounce back, man. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We talked about Bills, Steelers, Texas, Indy, Rams. Those three NFL games. Ohio State, Michigan, just about nailed that score, 27-9. I said it would be 23-13. You said it'd be a little bit more scoring than that. We both picked Ohio State about 10, 12 points. Ohio State wins. Michigan, a little bit overrated. Had that young quarterback there. They're a pretty decent defense. Their only big win was against Nebraska. How big of a win was that really? You know, I thought Ohio State played well. I thought Michigan run the football. They showed some vulnerabilities to Ohio State's defense. But what's your thoughts about that game, man?
Yeah, the Ohio State spread the ball out. They used the wide receivers. One of them was a top-notch wide receiver.
Yeah, Carnell Tate.
Yeah, the quarterback was able to, move around and make plays, and that was important for them. And that they came out and they showed that they're the number one team in that conference. And Michigan, I don't think they could have done much of. They don't have that much depth. Their quarterback's still kind of young. They're trying to rely on a running game, and they don't have an air game yet, and they wouldn't have been able to do well in the air game between not just the defense that Ohio State has, but also that the fact that they have very little experience. So those things didn't help Michigan, and I don't know what people want, like what people wanted that Michigan would have been able to do to make this a better game. Like, because if you're watching it, at least what you saw was consistent from the defense of Ohio State, and then also their consistency in their offense. And then you saw that Michigan was inconsistent, and that was consistent with what we've been watching from them all season. Like, they have good games, they have bad games. There are some quarters they play up, and then some quarters they play down. So, and all that has to do with the transition of all the players that they lost last year, right? So, yeah. And that's okay. It's going to happen. And, it was good that they were competitive, though. And they were competitive. They just weren't deep enough. And you saw that. You saw the better team.
They got to get older. That guy's Underwood's just got to mature more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. They recruit well. Tennessee, Vanderbilt.
What a mess. What a mess.
Yeah, I tell you what, Tennessee hung in there, looked great in the first half. Defense fell apart in the second half. Thought maybe that Heupel would step up and just fire this coordinator and make a brash move. But then I look at recruiting. Signing day was this past week, which is ridiculous. I wish they'd move it back to February and keep it there, but they didn't. Tennessee brings in a lot of good players, including a lot of four-star defensive guys. I think they're going to try to solve this problem in-house. They did have a good defense last year, but most of the years have not been good. And I'm sure Heupel, at this point, if this doesn't get his attention, the team's eventually going to have to move on from him. If he's got to make, you cannot be too cozy with your assistants there. You got to look and say, what's best for this team? If you can't fix that side of the ball, or if I need to slow this offense down enough, then we cannot win. I have to move on from you, buddy. I'm sorry. But that really, it was a good thing to see Tennessee get beat like that, because I saw it in the Oklahoma game. You've seen it over the years. They just don't play that well against formidable competition on the road because they're too offensive dependent, and you just cannot be like, you can't play and score 45 every night and win. It's just, you got to have more balance in that. What's your thoughts about that game? It was very irritating and disappointing.
Yeah, I mean,
which I did. You did.
When you talk about Heupel and his offense, I mean, it's like a tale of two cities. When you're watching this offense, you're like, okay, they're moving the ball, and then they make a mistake, right? And when they make this mistake, the defense is like, they're not ready, or they're just like, wait a minute, they're out of breath because they were just on defense. It's like, I don't
possession thing, yeah,
but I'm not sure even if Tennessee was able to use more time to develop a better running game, that would help. I think this is what I think. Heupel's using some kind of like West Coast type offense, RPO, and he's trying to also kind of get a running game there going, but he hasn't had a running back that could catch that well. So I think that's holding them back. So, if he's going to do that, then he needs to do that to the 100%. If he knows he don't have a running back that can catch, then put 4 tight ends out there and just let it rip. But don't go out there hoping that this guy is going to be able to do something when you know that's not part of his skill set. So,
Yeah.
And then on the defense, as many of those big guys you have that you know that can sack guys, you can't just be like he's going to get a sack. You got to make sure that the line is working together as a team, and then the linebacking crew doesn't get lost in this whole. Oh, they're big enough to handle the
horrible.
And then fall back and then just get lost in the middle. I feel like a lot of things that are going on are small little things, but they're also dependent on the actual players and what their job's supposed to be, not the coaching. Like you can't coach these players while they're like you can't coach them to play better. You know what I'm saying? You could coach them to do things better, to read things better, but you can't coach them and motivate them to play better. That's on the player themselves. So I feel like in that retrospect, they have to mature. All those guys and all their positions have to mature, and they have to understand that this is their future. If they want to be NFL players, they can't just be like, oh, the guy in front of me is better than the average other college player, and you know he's gonna do him, and then you don't do your job, you know. So I feel like that happens a lot on the offense and the defense, and that's why there's this whole part of where they're not balancing each other out. It's the lack of depth of 5-star players in every position.
Yeah. How come Lane Kiffin can bring in the tackles? He's a very similar coach to Heupel.
Right.
Very fast-paced offense, you know, offensive minded, high scoring. Tennessee and Ole Miss the last 2 years have been pretty close together.
Right.
Yards per game, points, you name it. But Ole Miss not being the reputation of Tennessee, who's won a national championship in the last 27 years, versus an Ole Miss who hasn't, not just mentioned, in fact, they ain't won a championship since the 60s, but they can bring in a tackle that can actually get the pressure on Georgia and beat Georgia. But they can do that, but Tennessee cannot, and that's what kills me. Why can't you get these players? You know the money's there. Why can't you get these players in here? What is wrong with Heupel not? Because he's so successful, man, as far as scoring, and they had Georgia beat this year, but they ran out of gas. You see them. The defense ran down, and so they both ran out of gas at the end of the game, and Georgia starts coming back, and they won the game. If they would have played Georgia later on in the season, Georgia would blow them out.
Right,
you know, because they're fatigued.
Yeah.
So it's I hope he does something about it. I hope Tennessee keeps the guy.
But do you honestly think that's coaching? I don't think that's coaching. I just think
I feel like that a lot of it is coaching. You know,
really, I don't.
Yeah, and I think he probably runs too fast of an offense, and he wears his own defense out too, which is not good.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you're gonna run your offense, you got to score 27, 30 points, 32 points. Like you got to get those points. The field goals are not going to help you. They're not. You know,
but you eventually that pace always wears teams down. Remember the old Texas Tech team that did not have defensive tackles? They used to throw the ball. Yeah, they would get a good upset every now and then, but they would always have 4 or 5 losses. You know, I mean, it's
right.
You can't live like that. You know,
it's a tough call. It's a tough call, but I feel like the culture is there for Tennessee. I feel like
they're still close. They just gotta. That's like a cancer on the team. That defensive issue, you know, and the fatigue. So I don't know, man. Miami, they win, but they still are behind. They win big, 31-7 over Pittsburgh, but they're still behind Notre Dame. You know, I just feel like people just in the committee, they just want to see Notre Dame because they're a big draw, you know, and I think that just irritates the fire out of me. I think Miami should be ranked ahead of them. Hopefully Miami gets in after this weekend, after the playoff. They're at 12 now. What's your thoughts about where they're seeded at? I think they're like 12th, and Notre Dame's like 8.
Right.
Which is ridiculous because they beat Notre Dame in week 1.
Yeah, and this is that the ACC is not really as strong as it should be this year. And I feel like that's kind of put a damper on what Miami's done. And been able to do, even though they're winning, but they're not called big wins because that conference isn't, even though it's a Power 5 conference, is not, the teams aren't that strong in there, right? I think that's, you think that division is strong? You think that conference is strong?
Not this year.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So I
Well,
feel
it
like
was a really down year. I mean, look how bad Florida State turned out to be.
yeah.
You
So
know,
I feel like
disaster.
Miami got that bad end of the deal on that and drawing a deal on that because of the conference not being as successful as I think it should be. And I'm not going to try to take away from some of the wins that they have because they played out and they did what they were supposed to do. But then this is one of those. These is one of these things that Notre Dame not being in the conference helps them every other year or every 2 years. Like it helps them be in that competition of a playoff because they're not bound to it. They're bound to the schedule no matter what. No matter what, they're not bound to a conference. So being independent like that I eventually helps them. It is an advantage for them. Like, could you imagine if let's say this was the Pac-10 of last year, let's say, and it was all of a sudden Arizona State, they had a lot more wins than they did last year. Let's just give an example. But then Notre Dame, they only lost 2 games. Arizona State only lost 2 games, but they was in the Pac-10, and the only team that was doing well was Oregon and Arizona, or Stat. So again, Notre Dame would be the better pick for the selection committee.
Yeah, who they beat? USC. I mean, and USC ain't even that good.
You get what I'm saying now?
For Notre Dame, but that's about it.
You get what I'm saying now? So it's just a situation that Notre Dame has put themselves in a good place because they're not in the actual.
Nobody else will step up and say, we're not allowing you to do this anymore. You either get in the conference or you cannot be in the playoff anymore. But I think they'll figure it out, and I think Miami's going to make it. I think another thing that's really stupid that these conferences do, this has been going on forever. Duke, with 5 losses, is in the conference championship because they got a better conference record. That is so stupid. A win is a win, and a loss is a loss. Conference record should be tiebreaker only. It shouldn't be, I don't have any losses because I beat everybody in my crappy division and my crappy conference, but I have 5 out-of-conference losses, and I'm in the ACC championship game. I mean, these are supposed to be educators, that put this together, and it's such educated idiots, man. Against they're going to play Virginia. Hopefully, Virginia will win that game. But I mean, who would have had them in the freaking ACC? That's why I didn't give it to you. I just thought, isn't that stupid?
I mean, would you rather see Virginia playing Miami then for the conference championship?
No, I'd rather see the teams with the of course, Virginia. I think they've only got 2 losses, so. Yeah, the 5 losses team should not be in.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the conference right now. I'm looking it up just to see what you're saying, and I'm like, I don't. And look, I mean, if you look at
idea, but I think it's ridiculous, man.
Look, and I'm not going to go out there and be a hypocrite because I thought that Clemson was going to do very well this because of the way the conference was falling out for them. I felt like, they had a good. They had
all those returning starters.
Yeah, all the stars. They had everything was going for them, right? And look where they end up, 7-5.
Yeah,
overall,
but they had a lot of conference.
Everybody was talking about Georgia Tech being better. They were 9-3. SMU, who everybody's like, oh, they're okay, but 8-4. If
Georgia Tech wins, if they beat Pittsburgh a few weeks ago, we're seeing Georgia Tech's very good.
But if you look,
they've had a good year.
But the whole conference record, what you're saying is correct. The whole conference record is a bunch of hoo-ha. You just go with the overall wins, and you would get a better matchup anyways. I would rather see Virginia play Miami again because they should be those 2 teams should be the only 2 teams fighting to get into the playoff.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. Let's go over today's games this week. We got a big weekend here. We'll start off with the NFL first. Chicago, Green Bay. Man, we got a great weekend here. Green Bay has owned Chicago lately. But last year, I will say this, Chicago, Green Bay was off a bye week, played at Chicago. This is different coaching staff and everything, and barely beat the Bears there. It's like a 1-point game. It was a blocked field goal, if you remember. This is going back to last year. Now, of course, the other game they played last year, it was the starters were pulled for the Packers. That don't count. But you know how good Chicago's playing. They're the number 1 seed, playing some really good football right now. This game is in Green Bay. I don't know why Green Bay's 6.5-point favorites. I guess because they're playing in Green Bay. But all that being said, I do like Chicago's run defense is their only bugaboo for me. They're improving everywhere else. I actually like Green Bay at home, but I don't like them to cover that 6 points. I think this is a tight game, 24-23. Packers win late at home, but this is a airtight, really good game Sunday afternoon. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm roaring with the Bears. I'm going to go with the Bears in this game. I don't care if it's a
road win.
Yeah, I wouldn't care if it was in Green Bay, in Honolulu, or even in Chicago. It don't matter. Right. The Bears are riding high.
They're playing
the quarterback's playing some of the best football in his NFL career, which is good. That you need to have him make very little mistakes and making sure that he's getting rid of the ball and he doesn't, and he's projection is actually going up, and that's a good thing. I don't like that the Packers lack that bite on defense, and that I feel like their offense has more bite than their defense. And for that reason, I think this game is going to be 27-24, but the Bears win. It's going to be a field goal game.
Yeah, it'll be a tight game. I can't wait to watch that game. That'll be fun. You may catch me. I'm up 2, but you hear some of my predictions. You may be up 2 by the time all this is said and done. Indianapolis playing at Jacksonville. Another great game could decide the division. Both of these teams practically identical records here. But Jacksonville's on the home field here. The last 10 straight years, they have beat the Colts in Jacksonville. Colts are on a 2-game losing streak, a tough one-score game. We talked about Houston earlier. Daniel Jones dealing with that broken fibula. Sauce Gardner doubtful. Definitely like Colts I like the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. 27-20. Jags win, make it 11 straight, and then they go back. They go to first place after the Colts were in first place for a minute there. What do you think about that game? Another big divisional rival game.
Yeah, this is a team that has a very underrated defense in Jacksonville, and I think they'll be able to they're not going to stop the running game, but they'll be able to control it a little bit. Yeah. And they'll be able to make a few runs at this quarterback, whoever chooses to play quarterback. And I think that the Jags are going to win at home, 24-21. I think it's going to be a field goal game as well. Like, this is going to be a close game, and this is one of those games for. And he's at home. Don't get me wrong. It's not that I think this guy's quarterback Jesus, but I feel like he has his opportunity is to make big plays at big times, and he kind of does at home do a better job of that. So I feel like the Jaguars are going to come out of this game 24-21.
Cool beans, brother. Okay, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Oof. Somebody's got to win the AFC North at the end of the day. Baltimore coming off that rough loss against Cincinnati. Now, Lamar Jackson didn't practice today. He's limited yesterday. He didn't practice today. I'm a little concerned about that. But, man, Pittsburgh's left tackle's out on IR. Aaron Rodgers has got this thing on his wrist here. We saw how bad he looked last week. This game is being played in Baltimore. Baltimore's 5.5-point favorites. I don't know. Maybe if Tyler Huntley plays, I still probably like Baltimore. It's late in the season. You talked about Darius Slay getting cut. I know Pittsburgh has a way of rising up like this, and they do find ways to beat Baltimore. If they played them about 6 weeks earlier, that may have been true. I still like Baltimore 24-16 to win at home. Pittsburgh looks banged up, and they're on the road. What do you think about that game? Big rival game as well.
Yeah, Baltimore got to strap them the boots and they pull up their pants, and they got to get going and ready to go. And no matter who's the quarterback, they need to just run that ball and toss that ball out in the wind a little bit. Let's see where it lands. But Pittsburgh, man, they can't get a running game going that's consistent. They can't get an air game that's consistent. They got a quarterback that's inconsistent, but he's consistently getting old. So,
he just turned 42 this week. Happy birthday, Rodgers.
Yeah, nothing looks positive for the Pittsburgh Steelers except for the fact that the yellow towels travel very well no matter where they go. But I'll give them this game to Baltimore 28-17, and I think they're gonna make it easier for them to try to sneak into the playoffs.
Yeah, I like Baltimore too. Houston, this was a hard game for me to handicap here. Playing in Kansas City, Chiefs 3.5-point favorites. But I don't know why. I know they're good at home. They always get those 50-50 calls at home. I get it. But Trey Smith likely out. Jawan Taylor, offensive lineman, likely out right tackle. Justin Simmons already been ruled out. That's the left tackle there. And they're a very tough matchup. And I know that Stroud has not beaten Kansas City ever. But you saw that Houston defense. You know how solid they are. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, even though this game is in Kansas City, they don't lose up there in Arrowhead much. But I got a feeling Stroud breaks that through, and Houston seems to be much healthier. 20-17. I think that defensive line led by, what's that guy's name? Anderson and Danielle Hunter there. I think they're going to get all over Pat Mahomes there. And 2017, this is going to be a Sunday night game. This will be a good game. I like Houston get the road win.
Yeah, it's very rare we talk about Texas being the game of the week. This is the game of the week, guys. This is for This is for Texas trying to get into the playoffs, and for the Chiefs to make sure that they got enough or one more extra game that they can depend on to sneak into the playoffs as well. I got the Chiefs in this one, 24-17. It's going to be a close
winning.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs winning at home, and the referees are usually on their side in this.
Yeah, you'll probably beat me there. You know, I just got a feeling that line, they're going to end up getting the best of that line. But I'm
hoping for Northeaster there. I'm hoping that affects them and the way they play. Both of them going to just try to run the ball. I don't know if you'll be able to throw that ball there the way the wind's going to be doing, but we'll see. It's going to be a good game, though.
You'll probably kick my butt in that game. Okay. Oh, what the heck did I just do? I went to a wrong year there. I put on my notes here and messed it up. Okay, today is the 4th. Oh, I just went to. Sorry about that. Here we go. All right. Philadelphia LA Chargers. Justin Herbert has a hand issues limited. He's still going to play. He went out for a few plays last week. Chargers come back strong after getting crap beat out of them by Jacksonville. I'll say this, but they're still pretty fresh off that bye week. They had a late bye. And now Jalen Carter's out for the Eagles. Jalen Carter's out, plus Lane Johnson's out. We know that Jalen Hurts, he was 5-9. Now he's 5-11. I actually think he's going to be 5-12. As much as the Chargers beat me every freaking time. You pick them, they beat you. You pick against them, they beat you. This particular game, I'm going to take the LA Chargers because it's in LA, 23-19. This will be a crappy game, about like the Bills and the Steelers last week. I'll take the home team. They'll probably beat me, but right tackle out, Jalen Carter out. By the way, the offensive coordinator's house got egged the other day when they lost to the Chicago Bears. What's your thoughts about the Eagles really getting banged up? Now they're heading on the road now, play at L.A.
I think this is a wake-up call for the whole team, no matter who's going to be on the roster that day. They are playing in L.A., which is nice, which is going to help them because the East Coast has crappy weather right now. Yeah. So I think they're all going to take that into consideration. It's a good break to be away from your fans right now because they're all upset about the loss that you created. And I think that this is actually going to be the Eagles a win. And I'm picking the Eagles to win 32-27.
Okay.
Just because Herbert, didn't he just have surgery? on his offhand or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
he's supposed to play though.
yeah,
Now, if Trey
yeah,
Lance
I
plays,
just,
it'll be Eagles. Yeah, easy.
yeah, I just see a lot of like inconsistent things from the Chargers, and I feel like this is an easier game for the Eagles to be able to, with their depth, to be able to like figure out and win.
Find a way to survive.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're probably right. I just when they cut Carter out like that and they're on the road, I just they're too inconsistent for me to pick them on the offensive standpoint. And I know they're playing another team that's still kind of banged up because they have two tackles that's been out for a while, but they've kind of adjusted since they've been out. But we'll see. That'll be a good game. That'll be a really good game. Okay, college. Dude, I'm really hyped up on these college games this week.
Well, you're not picking the Bills Cincinnati game?
Oh, no, I did not put that in the Bills Cincinnati because Cincinnati's technically not in it.
Right. That's a toss-up.
I don't know who will win that game. I mean, Bills. I haven't even looked at the Bills injury report because Cincinnati's so far out of it. They're not out of it, but they would have to upset the Bills and run the table. I think that would be an interesting game if they just had a few more wins, man. I usually pick the 5 biggest games.
No, I was saying this. I'm just asking your opinion, man, because I think it's a toss-up. I think it's a toss-up too.
I mean, Cincinnati could win that game. I think Buffalo probably will win it, but I haven't even looked at the injury report of those two tackles and see if they're coming back for Buffalo.
Well, I'm letting you know. I feel it's a toss-up game. I think it's going to be 24-21 either team. So
okay,
don't worry about it. It's not. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, not count against it. But I didn't look at their injury report.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Cincinnati get back in. I think it'd be interesting if they find a way to get back in it. You know
me. I don't trust the Bills. So
right. I would love to see Cincinnati get back in it, man. That would be really cool. Georgia, Alabama.
Woo.
Georgia should be. I mean, listen. If I'm Georgia, the tape on Alabama is very simple. Play zone defense and let play a pass zone defense and let Ty Simpson throw you the ball. They don't have a running game in Alabama. I just don't understand it, man. They do not have a running game. I do like Ty Simpson better than Bennett or Gunnar Stockton, whatever his name is. Yeah, Gunnar Stockton. But if you're Georgia, you look at the Oklahoma tape. That's how you beat Alabama. Georgia's 2.5-point favorites, but Kirby Smart has got one win against freaking Alabama. One winning. I don't understand that. Georgia's the better team. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the favorite's going to win 24-21. I don't know what's going to happen in this game. I like Georgia barely. That's the point spread, 2.5 points. I just don't understand how you can let a team beat you without a running game like that. What's your thoughts about Alabama, Georgia?
Man, it's one of those matchups, man. Every year we talk about this, man. I feel like for the last 3 years we talk, and every time we pick a team, it's the opposite team that wins.
It's usually Alabama.
You should go back for this Wednesday show. You should go back and check to see how many times we picked the opposite team and how many times we was wrong.
It's hard to get a feel for that game.
And then that Kirby Smart, man, sometimes he ain't so smart, and then sometimes he fools you. Like, so, for pick's sake, I think I'm gonna go with the home team this time. I'm gonna go with Georgia.
Okay.
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta, it's kind of like a home team.
It's local for them, so they don't have to stress about traveling. They don't have to do any of that stuff. All they have to do is really play their game, and they'll be, like you said, they should be able to beat Alabama. But I feel like every time I pick against Alabama, they win. But I'm picking Georgia over Alabama, and I think this game is not. I don't think it'll go over 50 points. I think there's going to be a lot of mistakes because they're both going to be so tense. I think there's going to be more field goals than there are touchdowns, and I think it's going to be a kicking game, and there's going to be a bunch of missed field goals. So I think this game might just be like 27-23, to be honest.
And you're picking Georgia.
In Georgia, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Let's see. I'm really hyped up on this Indiana game. I talked about it yesterday. There's going to be a lot of scouts watching Fernando Mendoza from the A lot of mock drafts have him going number 1 overall. A lot of talk about this Ohio State defense being historically good, 7.9 points a game. I haven't found anybody that's picked Indiana. But listen, Indiana's got a better resume, man. They went up to the Oregon and beat them. Ohio State beat Texas at the beginning of the season, who Georgia beat them by 25 points. I respect the heck out of Ohio State. I know their offensive coordinator, Brian Hartline's got a job in South Florida. I don't think that'll affect them. I do think there may be a slight letdown. This game is going to be played in Lucas Oil Stadium at Indianapolis. That's a plus there for Indiana. I kind of get a sense there may be a little bit of a letdown here for Ohio State. They got the better talent, but I looked up their defense compared to Indiana's defense. Very close. They're slightly better. Indiana, better rushing team. Indiana's actually a better offense overall. Well, rushing team, of course, they got better passing because of the receivers there. You got 2 number 1 picks there with the Ohio State. I'm going to go over and under 47.5. I'm actually going to go with the upset here. Could be way off here. Got a lot of respect for Ohio State, but I'm thinking it's 23-20. Ohio State misses a game-time field goal, and Indiana wins this game. They might not win it in the playoff, but I think Indiana wins this game Saturday night. If I'm wrong, hey, I've been wrong before, and I own it.
Yeah. Accountability. A lot of people don't know what that means, but
I own it, man. Gotta own it.
I can't be a hypocrite, man. If I called it wrong, I call it wrong. But I call it right sometimes more than I call it wrong.
If you call it right and you get the right score, I always replay it and cut it. So
I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate it. Listen, Indiana, great season. And I think they're gonna hold off a little bit and maybe do something during the playoffs. But this is one of those things that Ohio State usually does, is they usually win big in the conference finals and the championship game, and then when it comes to the bigger scheme of things is when they have those off games. But they're not always champions. Look, awesome job at Indiana. My niece is a student there.
Okay.
My sister moved to Indiana. Everybody's excited. It's a great time to be a Hoosier Daddy fan right now. And but as much as I respect them and what they're doing, and as much as they had a great season and they are going to have a lot of picks coming out, I think they come up short. I think it's going to be Ohio State doing what Ohio State does because they have so much depth. It has nothing to do with they just got guys after guys after guys. Even when somebody goes out, they got 4 or 5 players to replace them. And Ohio State wins this game, man, 27-21.
Okay, but you're still saying it. Yeah, it was a 6-point edge for Ohio State.
Yeah. I'm keeping that
now it's down to 4. People putting money on Indiana. Hey, maybe Ohio State destroys them. If they do, I'll get on here next week and praise their defense and say, hey, maybe they are as good as Georgia's defense back in the day or a few years ago, or Miami back in 2001 when they had that great defense.
Yeah, and look, I'm not going to go back to what I said about University of Tennessee and Vanderbilt, and even Vanderbilt having a great season. And they're doing so well right now. And again, you got to play it on the field. And they team like Vanderbilt, they've been doing that. Indiana this year, they're going to do that. But
they ain't gonna have a Vanderbilt like game.
But
Ohio State's defense is too good for that.
But again, I think sometimes we're just so stuck on on what we've been living through, right? So, football's so different now, especially college football. And I don't think that Indiana's going to come over here and get beat up by Ohio State at all. I think they're going to punch. They're going to get punched. They're going to punch back. I just feel like it's going to be back and forth, and it's going to be very competitive. The biggest thing here is that can your kicking team get you through the small little battles of the kicking game?
Yeah.
And that's punting and field goal wise. And I think that's where.
And you never know how they're going to handle this moment.
Right.
I was impressed the way they handled it in Oregon. I was impressed the way they handled Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
But, Penn State had them beat, So anything can happen on any given Saturday. You just never know what team's going to show up. But anyways, we're about 9 minutes over. Anything else to plug?
No, right now is working on baseball stuff, and doggone it, it's been a fun football season. It's been competitive. I'm ready for Wednesday, bro. Just let me know. Give me the.
Yeah, if he doesn't this Wednesday, I'll let you know way ahead of time. And so you can be ready.
Yeah,
you gotta compete against these guys. Okay,
everybody, watch out for the announcement for the football championship table that we're gonna have. The tabletop. Bob is gonna announce it. He's gonna post it. I'll be there. He'll be there, and we're gonna do it up.
All right. Have a round of applause for them. Appreciate you, buddy. All right, everybody. I'll see you next week. Me and him's got a lot of different picks here. So I may be down big come up next week. So have a good night, everybody, and a great weekend. We have a big one this weekend. See you next week, same time, same place here on The Real.